Namaste and welcome to this exciting episode of Sathology Debunking Mythology. Sat means truth, Logos means a study or science, Sathology means a science of truth, a study of truth. Opposite of that is mythology, which means the root is myth, it's Sanskrit dhatu, which means a fake lie imagination. Mythology means a study or science of fake lie imagination. When the British colonialists left India, they divided India into 661 approximately, I don't have the exact count, independent states. And two of them were the largest ones, which was Pakistan and Bangladesh, founded on the principle of Muslim majority or the two nation theory. And ever since, we have known that this history and most of the Western world doesn't know the way it is. So I have to explain it. This history has not been taught the way it is in the Western institutions or even in India. The Hindu population, people who do not know, especially Americans, do not know that Pakistan was a Hindu majority country at one point of time. And same was the case with Afghanistan and same was the case with Bangladesh. But with the Islamic invasions, it became a Muslim country, Muslim majority country, and it was formed on the religious grounds. Ever since that independence, 1947, the Hindu population in Pakistan went down drastically. That today they make up only 1.5%. At the time of independence, they were almost between 13 to 25%. It can be upper or low, a little lower, but this was a large population. On the other hand, the Muslim population in India rose many times over, and Muslims enjoy basic freedom in India, whereas Hindus do not have any freedom in Pakistan. In fact, one of the cricketers there, Danish Kaneria, he often complains that he's not in the Pakistani team or he was taken out because he was not a Muslim. That is on the game also. So I have a very special guest today. He works on the rights of those people who came to in partition to India during that time and tries to rehabilitate them, those Hindus who run from those countries, especially Pakistan, to come to India to protect their families. I mean, in Pakistan, the kidnapping of Hindu women is very common, and forced conversion through coercive tactics such as human exploitation of women, especially. You all can understand. I want to take the name, don't want to take the name. It doesn't look nice in the morning for all of you. So let us welcome Sri Jay Ahuja from Jaipur. Namaste.
Namaskar. Okay, how are you, Aditya ji?
Yeah, very well. And thank you for joining the show today. So, in your own words, how do you summarize the condition of Hindus in Pakistan?
Mm, See, some in 21st century, people are living in hell on the basis of their religion. This is the situation of any minority in Pakistan, either Hindus, Sikhs, Christians. Largely, three minority communities are there. Some small population in metros is Persians, also Parsis, but major population is Hindus and Sikhs and Christians. So they are living in hell in 21st century.
So, if you when you say hell is a very deep word, and so just tell me the how many temples are left, Hindu temples are left in Pakistan, and what was there during independence, and what is there left today?
See, we cannot say any exact number, Aditya ji, because earlier it was Bharat, it was undivided India, and there were a lot of temples and there are a lot of stories of our Hindu dharma related to them. So mainly three major pilgrims are belongs to undivided India. One is Tirthraj Pushkar, one is Prayagraj, which is still in Bharat in India, and the third one is Katasraj. Katasraj is a big pilgrim area which is near Multan, and this is there. And we Hindus believe that Ma Adi Gauri, Ma Shakti, Shakti's 52 Shakti Peeths. The first one is in Balochistan called Hinglaj Mata. It is at Hingul Parvat, and two more Shakti Peeths are in Sindh. So there are a lot of places, and number of temples and gurudwaras, but slowly, all have been vandalized, vanished. Recently, one very old temple in Multan, and the suddenly mob came without any reason, and within the hours, they demolished the temple without any reason, without any fight, because Hindus are some 100 Hindus are there, and the major population is local Pashto population, Muslim population, and they suddenly came that we don't allow kafirs to do kurf, I mean shirk. Uh, so they vandalize the temple. So without any reason, whenever they think that today is a good day and we have to go and we have to vandalize one temple, they do it normally. It is like how they breathe, how they eat, how they drink. That is the same thing how they treat minority kafirs on the angle of Sharia.
So when was this temple demolished then?
Almost 3 months back
Oh,
in
the very
Near
recent.
Multan.
Did it come in the
It was
news?
almost 500 years old temple.
Yeah, it didn't even come in the mainstream news in India or anywhere else.
No, it came in little bit Indian news and Pakistani news also, and Imran Khan said that we are going to rebuild this. But basically, Prime Minister of Pakistan, he was supported by mullahs, so he cannot go against mullahs. This is his political limitations. He cannot fight with mullahs.
When many times the Islam, they regularly, when these incidents are highlighted, they the only people, the most of the times the Pakistanis worry about Muslims in India, but I have never seen Indians worrying about Hindus in Pakistan. Why is that the difference?
No, Aditya ji. Actually, Hindus were not aware about Pakistani Hindus. Almost 10 years back, we started campaigns about this. We tried to rescue Hindus and Sikhs and Christians from Pakistan, and they started coming Bharat. Even earlier, a lot of people were in India, but no one was taking care of them. So we started pushing them, come out, speak out, tell your stories to media, to people, to laymen of India. Now a lot of people are supporting them. It is not that much dark how it was 10 years back when me and Dr. Ratnu started working on this. It
Yes.
is not that much dark now. So people are taking care in Bharat also. Society is taking care of these people nicely. Even, we have Varna Vyavastha and Jati Vyavastha in Bharat. So Jat community is taking care of migrant Hindu Jats. Dalit Samaj is taking care of migrant Hindu Dalits, and we are synchronizing with every social and caste organization also. So everyone is taking care of them. That is not that much of dark picture today, like it was 10, 11 years back when I started working alone on this.
So when we talk about the history of Hindus in Pakistan, I think most of the Indians are not even aware that Mahabharat was spoken in Takshila by Vaishampayan to
Ah,
Janmajaya. And so
you
it
are
is a,
right, and one more important thing, Aditya ji. Two Jain Tirthankars, 24 Jain Tirthankars. Exact name I don't remember, but 11th Tirthankar and maybe 17th Tirthankar, they were Kshatriya and they were king of Sindh. Even if you remember at the time of Mahabharat, one person, Jayadratha, fought with Duryodhana, and Dushala was sister of Duryodhan. She was married to Maharaja Jayadratha, and Jayadratha was Sindhu Naresh. If you remember,
that's right.
when we were kids, then Mahabharat used to come on TV on Doordarshan, and whenever Jayadratha came in the scene, so all Kauravas like Adarniya Sindhu Naresh, आपका स्वागत है. Welcome,
That's right.
Sindhu Naresh. So, Sindhu Naresh fought in Mahabharata also. Even one more thing, when Bhagwan Ram was supposed to go to Sri Lanka, and the bridge Ram Setu was built by Vanar Sena. So Bhagwan Ram prays to Hinglaj Mata to give me more power, because Hinglaj Mata is goddess of war, and Bhagwan Ram prays to Hinglaj Mata, give me more power to fight with Ravana. And it happened. And after winning Lanka, and Sri Ram came back to Ayodhya. But for 7 days, Sri Ram went to Hingul Parvat to Aradhana Shri Hinglaj Mata, because it was like Brahma Hatya se Mukti. He did a sin to kill a Brahman, because Ravan was a Brahman also. So Brahma Hatya se Mukti, to for the प्रायश्चित क्या कहेंगे आप बता दीजिएगा दर्शकों को. So Bhagwan Ram went there.
Atone. To atone.
To atone from Brahma Hatya.
So my question to you is for the viewers. Many of the people are watching live right now. Americans are watching.
जी.
Before we move on to what you do in India for these people who run away from Pakistan, what are the conditions? You can give a very detailed answer on this. What are the
Yeah,
conditions they run
definitely.
away from Pakistan to here?
See, one thing, Indian origin people can understand that the main thing, we have Varna Vyavastha. So 90% of Pakistani Hindus and Sikhs are from Dalit and tribal Hindu Samaj, like Bhil, Meghwal, and Valmiki, Koli, Bagdi, and OBCs also, Sonar, Suthar, these kind of castes. So they are very underprivileged people basically of society. So they were told a lie by Muslim landlords. They were told lie by Muslim landlords at the time of 1947. Don't go to dry places like Rajasthan and India, because how what you will do there. So we have our lands and you are our people. So we will take care of each and everything of your life. Don't go anywhere. And most of the Dalits and tribal Hindus stayed there on their commitment, their assurance that we will take care of each and everything of your life. And that commitment was failed as laymen, as a nation also. Muhammad Ali Jinnah also said after partition that which minorities are living in Pakistan, we will take care of them and they will be our mainstream citizen. But they never kept their promise as a nation. So in first census 1951, today's Pakistan was West Pakistan that time. So 16.7% was the total Hindu and Sikh population in West Pakistan, and 28% in East Pakistan, which is Bangladesh now. So today it is 1.7, 1.5 to 1.7%. So most of the people, means 90% Hindus, it is like ethnic cleansing. They have decreased 90%. It is a remarkable statistics. And in India, 2.6 crore Muslim were left, and they were in India at the time of 1951. Now they are almost 25 crores. So the number is there. How they are flourishing, enjoying freedom, religious freedom, and harmony of society, and how they are doing ethnic cleansing of Hindus and Sikhs in Pakistan. This is very clear cut statistical data. Nobody can deny. Even Pakistan cannot deny as a country, as an establishment. So the main problem is with these people are created by Mir, Pir, and Vadera. Means Mir means ex-royal families. Pir means Mullah, Maulvi, Chishti of some shrines, dargahs. These people are Pir. And Vadera means big landlord. So when after partition in Bharat, in India, government made a rule that big landlords and royal families cannot have big land with them, cannot keep. So there were an act called Sealing Act. This is the highest amount of land you can keep as an individual, and rest of land will goes to the government, and government will distribute to the landless people. So it happened in India. after 1947, and it was settled in 1955 properly. But in Pakistan, there was no law to landless people. That's why Muhajirs are still oppressed in that their society. They went on the assurance of Jinnah from undivided India's this part, which is India now, and they got nothing there. And even this case, same case with Hindus also. They are landless people, they are bonded laborers, Dalits and tribal Hindus, and they're small girls. Like they can bring them, they can kidnap them anytime, and they are making these kids, these uh, girl childs, as a sex slave, because sex slavery is allowed in Sharia, and all kafir women are male ganimat for them, and they they keep them with them, and kidnapping of 9-year-old girl child, 10-year-old girls, 11-year-old girls. So that was the pitching point which hated me in 2010,
Jay
and
Hoja ji,
because
when you explain those Urdu terms, Malay, what does that mean for English speaking audience? What does that actually mean?
Male Ganimat means it is a God given gift to you, Allah given gift to you. You can use these kafir's daughter as sex slave. This is Male Ganimat. Without any legal relationship, you can keep them, you can trade them, you can use them, you can pass them to others also to enjoy. So sex slavery, the basic thing is sex slavery. So these small girls are into this by force, by these vadheras, big landlords, and peers like mullahs, maulvis, and all, and Mears means ex-royal family. So this is the nexus which is round the clock 365 working against minority of Pakistan. And even US also took a hard step on that. In 2019 January, US government put Pakistan on religious minorities atrocity watch list, and they cut a lot of aids also. I think 300 billion or something. They deny to give Pakistan because there is no religious freedom in Pakistan. So it happened. So US government has noticed it on different times also. So this is the real situation of these forsaken, forbidden people of Pakistan, minority of Pakistan. This is a everyday episode there, Aditya.
So when we talk about with the mostly the American academics, and I'll blame the American academics also here, uh, that they never highlight the plight of Hindus in Pakistan, and they and also Indian government response from all the governments has been very confused. Where yes, go ahead. Other than the
Aditya ji, one
citizen,
one more thing I want to
yes,
interrupt you. Sorry to
please,
interrupt you.
please go ahead.
So at the time of partition, there were a lot of bloodshed, lot of when population transfer was happening, and lot of Hindus have been killed, lot of Sikhs have been killed. Then Hindus and Sikhs also retaliated at point of time, and the massacre was like matlab, it was horrible. It was horrible. Like 10, 1 million people murdered in this population transfer. Okay, and now 1950 comes. Pakistani Prime Minister Liaquat Ali Khan and Indian Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru, former at that point of time, they met in Delhi and they did an agreement, which is pact, which is called Nehru Liaquat Pact. In that particular pact, Indian government agreed and Pakistani government agreed on two things. One, both of the countries committed that we will take care of our minorities and we will bring them in mainstream of the country. Second thing, if in future any minority want to flee to their majority country, like Hindus, Sikhs, Christians want to come Bharat, India, and Indian Muslims want to go to Pakistan, both the countries agreed that we will give them shelter, and this is a mandatory term. We cannot deny them. Number one point. Number two point. Both the countries were agreed that we will arrange their preferential citizenship arrangement also. So that is how the pact made. On this, on the behalf of this pact, every single Pakistani Hindu, Sikh, Christian is getting compulsory asylum in India till the date in 2021 when we are talking today on 6th November, right, Aditya ji? So, what happened next? One person, his name was Kraplani. Acharya Kraplani was Congress president who signed partition deed with Britishers. So, Acharya Kraplani was called traitor by Sindhi Hindus because Acharya Kraplani agreed that we don't need a single district of Sindh for Sindhi Hindus, but at point of partition, Sindhi Hindus population was more than Pakistan, more than Muslims of Sindh. So Hindus population was higher than 54% Hindus were there and 43% Muslims were there in Sindh, but we didn't have a single district of Sindh. So he was like he was thinking that how can I do something for my people? It was a blunder which I did in influence of Gandhiji and Nehruji. So he told Nehruji that you have committed Liaquat Ali Khan in Nehru Liaquat Pact. Now you have to made an act for these Forsaken people when they will come to Bharat from Pakistan, how they will get their citizenship. So from his continuous follow up, finally Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru made a parliamentary board in 1953 to draft a Citizenship Act of Bharat. So that is how first Citizenship Act came in 1955 and it was implemented in 1955. In that particular parliamentary board's finding, there are a lot of things written that a lot of atrocity have been started on Hindus and Sikhs and Buddhists and Jains and Persians in Pakistan, East and West. So they made a clause. This is called Section 5(1)(a). If you are a Pakistani or Afghani minority, you have been flee to Bharat and you are living here since last 7 years. You can get your early citizenship after 7 years, and there must be a rider. You have to prove that your father or uh, you yourself, your father have to born before 1947. So this facility was available for undivided India's minority citizen of Pakistan and Afghanistan and their first generation. So this time Citizenship Amendment Act came in 2019. So Modi government has not changed the territorial areas. Territorial area is same. It is till today restricted with Afghan and Pakistani minorities. Bangladesh is also involved because it is a succession of East Pakistan, right? So they have not changed the territory, and we were requesting to the government, sir, we have lot of kids. They don't have proof because their fathers born after 1947. Some people born in 70s, some people born in 80s. So how can these people get citizenship? And they are automatically eligible in Section 6(1), which is 12 years. So these kids cannot go outside of their districts. They cannot study in government institution. They cannot apply for government jobs. So why are you uh, uh, doing this with these kids? These kids are innocent. They did nothing good, but they born as a minority in Pakistan. So government listened us, and Citizenship Amendment Act came in 2019. I have a lot of wonder, Aditya ji, why American city councils, without any understanding, oppose this act in their city councils. Why? They don't know anything, and they are interfering in our issue. And they can come to Bharat, they can come to India, they can go to the slums, they can ask the stories to these persecuted people. And there was a thing like it is anti-Muslim law, anti-Muslim law. How? Who decided beneficiary? Our first government of India, which under Jawaharlal Nehru's regime decided beneficiaries of the act in the light of Nehru Liaquat Act. Pakistan never um, never did anything on their promises. They never act anything for their promises. But Bharat fulfilled every single promise which have been done by any Indian government, by any party's government in Bharat, and they are still honoring their, they are trying to honor their promises. So this is the situation. I don't know how American people think. They don't know the real ground stories and their politics between Trump and Mr. Biden, and they are suppressing these persecuted people. This is a sin, and American society have to think this is a sin they did with these poor, persecuted, landless, nationless people. Ji Aditya ji.
No, that's the whole point of doing this show, because most of the American mainstream media is not even aware about Pakistan, the real Pakistan. People do not know that how many human rights abuses that they do on a daily basis against the minorities. And the American academics only talk about Muslims in India, where they're very well protected in India. In India, Muslims are very well protected. But in
Almost
Pakistan,
eight states. So in 8 states of India, there are some parts where they don't allow any non-Muslim in the villages, and in villages they are running their Sharia courts without any government assistance or permission, illegally, and they are doing whatever they want to do. They are doing fatwas and all.
yeah, but
So in India, lot of areas where Hindus and Sikhs and Christians become minority. Some parts of Kerala, maximum part of Kashmir Valley, maximum part of some part of Assam, some part of Bengal. There are a lot of area. Even Aditya ji, nobody can go inside these villages. Nobody is allowed even.
no, I mean that is for the Indian government and state governments to take care. I mean the what are Hindus, what has happened to Hindus in Pakistan is going to be repeated. Like you just mentioned, that Sindh was a Hindu majority area once upon a time, and today it is there is no place for them. And that is going to happen to them in India also. That is for the Indian governments and state governments to listen and learn. But when I'm focusing on Pakistan, Pakistan makes a lot of hue and cry in North America, especially the politicians and city councils. The problem is that most of these city councils don't even know what has happened to Hindus in Pakistan. They were the
We
natives of Pakistan.
we we have one positive example also Aditya ji. One of Omendra Ratnuji is my counterpart. We are working together, and Nimitekam is our NGO. So one of Omendra is known, called him, ke, sir, our city council is coming up with oppose to CA in their council meeting. So, oh, he said, "Okay, sir, please give me all the data, all the videos, all the news cuttings. I want to meet our local mayor. It may be Chicago or New York. I don't remember exact city's name." And that guy, Sachin Tripathi, went to the mayor with all documents, all videos, and everything. And mayor was surprised that people told us lie, and we are very sorry, Mr. Tripathi. And mayor dropped the idea to oppose Citizenship Amendment Act of India. So there may be some our bureaucratic mistakes also, and Americans and Indians are very good friends as a nation. So maybe there is a lack of approach also to American society. It may be the reason. But they are like city councils are opposing Citizenship Amendment Act. It was thoroughly illogical also. Right? You run your cities, boss. You don't know a single point about Pakistani minorities, and they four girls, Hindu, Sikh, Christian girls, four girls, they are kidnapping every day. These are the number of registered cases. In remote areas, there is no registration of FIR. There is no police. There are feudal laws. These landlords are feudal lords, and they keep their people, their labor, Hindu labor, in their own prisons. Aditya bhai, you cannot imagine in 21st century people are running their own prison. They are keeping Hindus in their prisons. It is like that, the feudal society of Pakistan. So people are sitting in America in a beautiful environment, and they don't know a single thing about Pakistan, and they are opposing Citizenship Amendment Act. It's a amazing kind of shit they are doing.
No, absolutely right. Most of these American professors, they only talk about Islamophobia, which is used as a
So do
silencing.
you think do you think Jakat's money is huge in America and they are using it like anything? There may be a possibility. So it's an amazing network of Islam to collect Jakat and to spend to buy kafirs for in favor of Islam. The third use of Jakat, buy kafir influencers in favor of Islam, and it's an amazing mechanism they have to collect money on the name of their religion, and it is mandatory.
No, no, one of the things I would like to come to is the all the cities of Pakistan, which is today, which was a before that it was Bharat. Most of the cities are built on ancient Hindu temple cities, like even the Harappan Mohenjo-daro, because we all know Alex Cunningham has documented it. Will Durant has documented it. American authors have documented it. Lahore was built on a Ram temple. Lahupur was the name. Now, the history of Pakistan is filled with the history of Hindus, because, like I said, right from Takshila to Sindh, it's all a Hindu territory. My question to the American academics and Indian academics is, because the native versus non-native is going to be the next political platform, and natives of Pakistan were the Hindus basically, and Buddhists to some extent in the northwest frontier province in Afghanistan. So the plight of Hindus in Pakistan, has it been highlighted by United Nations anytime?
Till the date, no one tried to do this, but we, on our personal basis, uh, took help your kind of friends in Europe, and European Union Parliament came up with a resolution against Pakistan on religious minority atrocity in May 2019. So these are individual efforts done by your kind of people, my kind of people, our kind of people who are humanitarian, and people like you and me. Our hearts bleed for these forsaken people. So, but on the base of any government, either U.S. government, they are taking responsibility for the whole globe, but they are doing nothing for this cause. And even Indian government never did this kind of anything in UN.
No, Pakistan as a nation has been under FATF grey list for terrorist sponsor against foreign countries,
Hmm.
but they have not been under any scrutiny by the UNHCR or by the international body, and also the Indian Foreign Office has not put enough pressure for them to take care of their own minorities. So the Indian law is one of the best laws which India came up with to protect, to give a chance to those people to run and at least get a shelter in India. So even
No, 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 Aditya Bhai. This law was not for people to come up Bharat. This law who came already in Bharat and they are staying in slums, and they are not getting their citizenship due to past 1955 act was quite complex for these people. So they made it simple for every layman, migrant minority which is living in Bharat in India. So they did this, and the timeline cut-off timeline was that beneficiaries was who came on before 31st December 2014 in Bharat. That was the timeline. So if they allow in that particular thing, so almost 37,000 people only in Rajasthan will get citizenship within the months.
so
Across the India, this number is not more than 1 lakh.
even I was not aware of basic difference. Thank you so much. I consider myself well read, but I was not aware of this difference. So practically, the entire opposition to Citizenship Amendment Act in the US was foolish. Looks like.
Ha ha ha. Even I know the every single word of 1955 Act, and I know the every single act word of 2019. Even on debate on CNN, some people came from the Congress and they were debating to me, and some BJP people also came and they were not aware what their government exactly did. So I was the one there who asked some questions to Abhishek Manu Singhvi ji, a big lawyer and a big Congress leader in Bharat, but he was lying. He has no answers. So this is all based on lie. There is not a single true word for people who are opposing Citizenship Amendment Act, either in America or either in Bharat or either anywhere else.
Now, coming back to your work in as part of your non-profit, you and Omendra Ratnoji, because both of you have come. Omendra Ratnoji was also here on the show before.
Ji, ji. Mhm.
So, so
I think he came on Maharana Pratap's book with you, na?
exactly. We'll call
He's
him
a
Mo.
writer. He's
Yes.
a writer, he's a poet, he's a surgeon, he's an amazing person, and my elder brother also.
So
Fortunately.
yes, and so we did had some good discussion on Maharana Pratap, and he was very well put it. He put it very well. Now coming back to your non-profit, what
Hmm.
what are the challenges that you face even today after this Amendment Act? Because there are a lot of people still looking for help.
See, one word is there which is called discrimination, policy discrimination. So, till the date, bureaucracy is not with us. Political will is there of this present government, but bureaucracy is not with us. And bureaucrats want to have only status quo on every issue, on every question. They don't want to answer anything. They don't want to do anything for persecuted people. Even they don't want to do anything for routine kind of things. So bureaucracy is a big shit in India, and they are misleading, mismanipulating, mismanaging everything. And these people who want to always like always want status quo. They don't want any single change in the system. So these people are the real enemies of humanity and real enemies of country also. So I have a lot of issues to be discussed. One, at the time of UPA, the sponsorship is mandatory, Aditya. If someone wants to come from Pakistan to India, it doesn't matter they are Hindu, Sikhs, Muslim, whatever. They have to get one sponsorship from India. This is mandatory. So with that sponsorship, they apply their document to Indian Embassy Islamabad. But for that sponsorship, there is a mandatory provision that one A class government officer should authorize the document that I know the sponsor personally. So when we go with the documents for Pakistani native and getting their visa done, so government officers usually deny, oh, bhai sahab, sir, it's a Pakistani issue. Please, uh, I cannot sign this. Number one problem. Number two problem: if someone has signed on our behalf, on our trust, brother, I am there. This is my responsibility. Please sign the document. They sign. So intelligence people, IB, CID people started calling them, sir, you know, na, you have signed a guarantee letter of a Pakistani native and they will get their visa on this document. So they suddenly comes into the fear. They used to call me, Jai Bhaiya, oh, IB people called me, IB police officer called me. What is this? I don't want to be into this. Bhaiya, please leave me. I will not sign the any document again. So this is the problem. This policy discrimination since last 7 years, government have been changed, but they are not removing that particular clause. We said them, okay, till the date you want one sponsor, we will give four sponsor for a single case, but remove this clause. But they didn't. One more thing, all poor people are living in the slums, Aditya Bhai. And Rajnath Singh ji did a wonderful thing. that in 2016, when he passed the order to delegate powers to district collectors to grant citizenship, at that time he said people who came till 31st December 2009, they should not go to Pak embassy. They no need to renew their passports, and they should not go to Pakistan embassy for renunciation certificate. So now most of the people who are eligible in section 51A, they got their citizenship who came before 2009. But after that, you cannot anyone cannot apply their citizenship because they have expired passport. Pakistani embassy is charging fee of 7,500 per person per annum for renewal. They cannot afford. They are earning hardly 10,000 rupees per month, and they have 10 people's family, 9 people's family, 8 people's family. So they cannot afford this much of money. And we told to our government, this money is going to enemy country. You can renew the order which Rajnath Singh ji already did, which Shivraj Patil ji already did in 2004, which Rajnath Singh ji did in 2016. You can renew this order, but these people don't have time for this kind of important things, and people are suffering badly, and we are getting pain every day for this kind of things. And CA, there is no CA till the date, Aditya Bhai. They have not implemented CA till the date. Almost 2 years have been done. CA came up on 9th December 2019. After 1 month, two years will be completed, but there are no rules, regulation, and implementation of CA. Still, uh, 4 days back, 15 people got citizenship in Jaipur. I think you also have some photos and all in your groups. So we are doing everything till today on the Act of 1955, but till the date CA has not been implemented by current government. Even they are not talking a single word on this. They are not answering our calls. They are not giving any answer when we met with these people one to one, big leaders who are running the nation. They have no answer. Okay, we will see, we will see. So politics is politics, Aditya Bhai, always. And politicians are politicians all the way.
This is a big shock to me, big shock. But anyway, because we are under a different impression in USA, Indian Americans not even aware of this. Now,
Gee.
the last question will be that do you think, like, how many Hindus are left in Pakistan? And because I believe with the current condition of Pakistan and the Islamic rate of growth, which is going on because of all the Islamic countries are poor, other than few oil producing countries, just everyone is poor. Now, do you think that in future there will be any program by the either the Indian government or the United Nations? And I seriously question US government more. Being an American citizen, I can question them that why they are not doing more to protect the minorities in Pakistan. If we Americans think they're the human rights champions, what happened to their credentials? So, what do you think? How many people are left, and how many people need to be protected in Pakistan? And also, the Indian government not implementing CAA, which is a shock to me and a news to me also. So, what do you think is left right now in Pakistan for Hindus?
Nothing. They have to they have to go out. There are only three options. One, they can convert into Islam. Second, they can leave the country. Third, they are going to be murdered or died. No other option is left. So, if and they are our blood relatives, Aditya ji, it become Pakistan just 70 years back. It was Bharat before 70 years. So they are our blood relatives. They are our people. We have to take care. They are Forsaken people. And second thing, there nothing is there. Americans cannot do anything for them. I am challenging with your medium, with your Satyology channel. They cannot do because they have to they have to develop their clear understanding. Radical Islam doesn't believe in coexistence, and Pakistan have been radicalized in last 25 years massively. Pakistani people don't believe in coexistence because they have been groomed in by their mullahs, maulanas. So anytime, any day, they can make hostage Islamabad. Tehreek-e-Labbaik. So French ambassador should go back, and French embassy should be shut down in Islamabad. It is third time they have been captured Islamabad. Third time. You can understand which kind of country. And people, 1 million people on roads. 1 million is a number, Aditya Bhai. 1 million people on the road, and they are fighting with their own police, with their own army, with their own government. So that kind of society, they are not ready to listen America. They are not ready to listen West. They are not ready to listen anyone. They are fanatic people. The society become fanatic, and in this fanatism, any minority have no future in Pakistan. This is the hardcore real fact, and we have to think about these people. America should do something to rescue them, to bring them America, to issue them refugee visas to America, to Canada, other West countries, because for Indian visa there are a lot of riders. It is very tough to get Indian visa from Pakistan based Islamabad Indian embassy. So it is my humble request to the globe, please, please, please save these persecuted people, these forsaken Hindus, these forsaken Sikhs, these forsaken Christians. They all are human beings. In 21st century, you have to think that if some person came to your house on gunpoint, they left their 8 9 years daughter, 10 years daughter, and they convert that kid within the hours into Islam, and that kid got nikah with some 40 years old guy, 50 years old old person. So how will you think? And you cannot meet your daughter for life, because once she become Muslim, she lost all the relation with the kafir mother father. No kafirs are allowed in her life, so she has not been allowed. So recently one anti-conversion law came up in Sindh Assembly. All mullahs debated on that, and that was caught back by the PPP Sindh government, and they put in dustbin. Why? Because mullahs told 9 years is a competent age to convert into Islam. 8 year is a competent age to convert into Islam by anyone, because Hazrat Ali became Muslim in 4 years age. What kind of bullshit is going on in 21st century in daylight in front of us? That particular country, Pakistan, have a law to get married for girl child to 18 year is the age for girls getting married. But in case of forced conversion, not a single kid is coming back to the family. Courts are not supporting, police is not supporting. It is a state sponsored state crime against minorities, against these small kids, girls. Nobody is talking about that. Every day, four cases, we have a lot of FIRs. In 2018, with some help of some people, your kind of friends, Dr. Omindra met with some good people in America. He came there and given them documents. Somehow these documents reached to American establishment, and they took serious action on that. And in January 2019, American government put Pakistan religious minority atrocity watch list and cut some 300 billion at there. But it's nothing. They are on their track. They don't bother what America is telling, about what West is telling. It is like that, Aditya.
No, the thing is, I'll tell you, the American political position is that it is the duty of India to protect first. That's a
We
public.
are, as a nation, Modi ji is trying. I'm also critic of Modi ji somehow, but in this particular case, Modi ji is trying, but Modi ji's team is not good. They are not competent people. They are not doing things on right time. They are delaying it without any reason.
And that is American position. If India takes a stand, like India asks in the United Nations, or India takes stops the funding of United Nations, India stops the funding of Commonwealth, British Commonwealth. India puts trade sanctions. All these different areas Indian diplomacy can use against Pakistan to protect their minorities in Hindus, especially Hindus in Pakistan. Then I think automatically things will change. But the US government is confused. I can vouch for them that they are confused because India doesn't take any action where their interests are directly involved, and they expect
So
the US to take an action.
India took action. India took action. India came up with a wonderful Citizenship Amendment Act. And what American city councils did, 8, 9 city councils already opposed CA in their city council meetings, and 20 were aligned. And suddenly COVID came. What American establishment did then? They cannot speak to their
Uh,
own mayors, city councils.
Now, understand one thing: in India, if India has around maybe 70,000 municipalities or mayors,
Yeah.
if each
Hmm.
one of them passes a resolution, has no effect on America. It is an internal matter of India.
Hmm.
American city councils are that powerful. Like they have nothing to do with India. Like they are just doing it to get the money from their voter base, Pakistani voter base, or Muslim or Indian American Muslim Council is the one they are attempting to. That's because they are the ones who work against Hindus, and CA movement was done by them, Indian American Muslim Council. So
Okay.
so it is not done by others. So it's like a municipality of India passes a resolution against America. What does it mean? Nothing. So
Hmm.
the opposition to that also, even though Indians successfully fought it, Indian Americans, but it has no relevance to State Department of USA. No relevance, no connection actually. Most of the city
Hmm.
governments are independent, and they're very small entity. It's the lowest part of the political spectrum. So it doesn't even reach the congressman level or the state legislature also to some extent. In fact, by the way, I can tell you, October was a Hindu Heritage Month by more than 16 states in North America, and Diwali will become an official holiday in USA. The bill act has been already proposed. Okay,
बधाई आपको बहुत बहुत.
so that is already done.
Congratulations.
So Indians are unnecessarily giving importance to the municipal councils. I personally don't give any
Hmm.
importance. Okay?
Hmm.
In fact, they are actually breaking the law by not focusing on their own citizens. If some, so most of them will lose elections this time. I can tell you for that. So it is the Indian state's response. State, I'm saying the country of India's responsibility.
Country.
This is the viewpoint of most of the American congressmen. Like I tell you one thing, I have really fought hard for Kashmiri Hindus in Kashmir, Hindus in Kashmir. My the question which I'm asked is generally, why did they run from their homes? And answer, I also know that there's so much violence is there. They have to run. There is no other way. They are forced to leave. But their question is, why didn't the Indian government stop it? Now, they don't understand the Indian politics here. They don't understand that there is a Congress government, there is a PDP government, it is a state-sponsored terror against Hindus in Kashmir. Clearly,
Right.
they don't understand that. They're saying India as a country is a large democracy. Why they can't protect their own people? So, so understand one thing. Like before you expect America says, okay, India is a wealthy country. It can afford a lot. And look at the defense spending, look at the other spending, look at the Mars mission, Moon mission. If you cannot protect with such a large armed force, a minority in your neighborhood, what can you do to become a regional superpower? It's useless. Like if you have a car and it doesn't have an engine, it doesn't mean anything. It doesn't
Hmm.
mean it won't move. So that is the point of the American viewpoint. But thank you for sharing what you said. And thank you for all the viewers for watching it. I hope you can understand. And once you get on the YouTube, please share widely. Namaste.